Welcome to this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters, the podcast where we chart the cinematic legacy of the classic monsters. I'm John Campbell. With me, as always, Brendan Jones.
John Campbell. I don't know why I sang your name like that.
I don't know. It's like
it would have been.
It's like a little theme song, though.
It is. It would have been better if I had been able to do something kind of funky. In honor of this week's movie.
Because this week's movie is as funky as it gets, man.
I think this is one of those rare sequels that is better than the original.
Unquestionably.
And it leaned into what I wanted more of in the first movie.
Absolutely. I will say up front, I very much enjoyed 1973's Scream, Blacula Scream.
I am glad we are in agreement. We did not talk about this beforehand, and I am in
had
agreement.
A lot of fun watching this movie.
I did too.
And yeah, I think it did feel like
it's also not good. We should also say
it.
it. No,
I mean, of course not.
But this one is genuinely entertaining. This one's fun.
It does feel like an improved version of the first movie, and I had the same thought watching it, where I'm going like, "Wow, somehow in 1973 they took our notes from 2021." I don't understand. Because there was much more of like they just emphasized a lot of the stuff that worked about the first movie and dug deeper into it, and I think gave Blacula a more compelling story, improved the makeup slightly.
Yeah, sort of.
We don't have are the fangs that are hanging out of people's mouths, which is
that's good. It leaned into. I mean, I can understand that the first movie was split. Because you had to have backstory, but this one leaned into, guys, we're doing a blaxploitation movie, and I was like, thank you, because that is part of the joy. That is putting you in the period, and it's. I mean, people will complain about stereotyping and things like that. At the same time, it's weirdly a cultural celebration, and therefore I felt, like that's part of the joy is having characters talk that way. And the dress, oh my God, Willis's suit when he's going to the party.
The entire performance of Willis in this movie is great and
is an award winner.
Well, as you're saying, that there's way more fun to be had in this movie. It is.
Well, they're also embracing it. They're also saying, look, this is what people would say if one badass African prince vampire was walking around. They would comment on this thing or that thing, and they do. They have characters in both comedic and serious ways going, what is this? And of course, giving William Marshall a lot more.
So many great moments. And not to bury the lead on that, but Pam Grier's in this movie. Automatically, a full letter grade better by just putting Pam Grier in it. I don't think they give her enough stuff to do, but it doesn't matter because she's Pam Grier. She lights up the screen.
One thing I liked about this, she does light up the screen, and good Lord, I mean. Talk about people who kept it together all the way through, because good looking lady today.
Yep.
But I'm just going, young Pam Grier. I'm just sitting there going, Jesus God.
Yeah.
Why is the camera going anywhere else?
No, she's just. But I mean, like, she is actively stunning.
But one thing I loved about this is that this is so not a Pam Grier character.
No.
And what's great about it is it also just shows she never got the opportunities, but she could have done anything because here she's a very reserved character. She's very, she has, these moments of sort of foreboding, and she's a sensitive character. And you're like, where's the badass Pam Grier? Yeah. Oh, she can do that. And we've seen her do that.
Hell
but
yeah,
this
can.
This is her doing something else, which immediately I was like, God damn. I'm in love with Pam Grier. Is what I just needed to say.
You can't not be. She's amazing, and she played Amanda Waller on Smallville.
I know. She's way too attractive for Amanda Waller. But I always go to classic Amanda Waller. It's like,
once again, the badass personality. She sold Amanda Waller quite well.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, in the same
way
that
I will say that Viola Davis is not, the comic book.
No,
Amanda Waller.
No. It's just so.
But she also.
Because I've been reading a lot of old Ostrander Suicide Squad books recently, and there's so many things where it's like that fatty or whatever, and I'm going like,
Well,
yeah, that's
because
not
she
our.
was supposed to be physically huge as
Yeah,
well. They
that's
call her the Wall, is
that.
her nickname.
I don't think that's ever been the case in any live action Amanda Waller.
They really haven't gone that far, no.
No, and that's okay because Viola Davis fills up the room with her
Yeah.
commanding presence. As
She
does
nails
Pam
it.
Grier.
Yes.
So anyway, it's Scream, Blacula, Scream. Do you have any background on this movie?
I got jack all, other than IMDb trivia.
Yeah, and there's some weird IMDb trivia on this movie. I will say, from looking at this, there are some. I mean, the title of the movie,
Yeah.
the backstory on that, I find very funny.
The fact that it was a contest.
Yep.
You're like, what?
Yeah, I don't know. We're making another Blacula. You figure it out.
There were a lot of, I mean, Scream, Blacula, Scream is okay,
Sure.
but it's also very kind of non-specific.
I don't
it's
know.
just
Yeah,
a horror
I don't know what
title.
it has to do with the movie.
I thought, like, as soon as it started, 5 minutes in, I was like, why didn't they call this Say Blood? I thought that would have been a really good title. But, yeah, Willis does go, hey, blood, and he says it to Blacula, and I had to laugh.
That's good stuff.
But anyway, no, yeah, that's a little bit of trivia. The thing about it winning the worst blaxploitation movie of all time from the Golden Turkey Award.
I've seen a lot of blaxploitations, many of them much worse than this.
Oh yeah, including when we get to Blackenstein. I mean,
Blackenstein is terrible. Oh, I mean, we did one over on my other podcast, The Action Shelf. We did a blaxploitation movie called Death Force that is horrible.
Oh, never even heard of it.
No, because it's even B standard by blaxploitation.
But this one, William Marshall, right off the bat, you can't say it's the worst blaxploit because you've got this great actor. You've got him anchoring
just as, if not more, locked into this part in this one.
Word. And again, as we said, you've got Pam Grier. I mean, there is no way this is the worst.
I actually think most of the acting here is pretty good. The guy who plays Willis, I just love him. Who is this guy?
I thought the guy who plays the doctor, the ex-detective
Don Mitchell.
Yeah, he was good too.
Yeah.
Everyone's good.
I thought he was much better than our Dr. Cop last week or last time. Because he's still, once again, they can't just be cops. He's got to be a guy who used to be a cop. And then, which doesn't matter because then he's just immediately on the investigation. So I just thought, like, what was the okay?
Well, then you have the white sheriff guy, Michael Conrad, who of course I knew from Hill Street Blues. Jesus, he was such a figure.
Everything about this guy says cop.
Yes, but I love the scene where he's like going, "I need you." He basically goes, "I know you're retired. Yeah. I need your help."
Yes, he does. Also because we literally never see any other non-uniformed cop around.
That's right.
It is this lieutenant, this retired detective, and then a bunch of patrolmen, and that is the police force.
Yep. Yeah, it's just it's crazy. We should talk about poster.
Oh, we should, because I like this poster.
It's good.
This is a solid one.
Solid.
Yeah, a boring white background, but at least there's a lot going on here.
Yeah,
because we've got Blacula sort of. What was it? I mean, in the middle of the poster, we have this fire from this voodoo ceremony.
Yeah, you have the circle of candles, the bones, the fire that we see. Willis. It is actually in the movie where he performs this voodoo ceremony. So he's there too. Yeah. He's kneeling in front of the fire.
Well, he's actually on here twice. He's on.
It's true. As his vampire.
Actually, this is a rare occurrence of everything on this poster is in this movie. That's not always the case for those things.
That's very true. Blacula is kind of rising up as if he was sort of the smoke.
Exactly, he's almost the smoke, which is cool. So it sort of makes his cape in the shape of the smoke, and he's got his hands. And his fangs
classic
are bared,
Dracula pose.
And he's like, and he's looking, and he's got his widow's peak and his eyebrows, and
he's in vampire mode with the weird mutton chop, sideburns.
This movie really leans into the switch between those more.
Boy,
which
do.
Really made me. I can't not think of Buffy the Vampire, because that's what I think of when you put your vamp.
Yeah,
clothes
when
on.
you actually turn into like your physicality changes
Which
when you go vampy.
I think, I mean, I like that as a take. I don't inherently, it doesn't like have to be the take for vampires with me, but I think it's an interesting take.
I don't mind that the physical change, like if they're that hungry or the bloodlust is up and they change, that's fine.
I do like the idea of here and in Buffy, this idea that there's some sort of demonic presence inside you that comes out.
And that's part of this plot. But I will say that I don't like in this movie where, because again, he builds a fucking vampire army. Love it.
God damn,
but
I love
here,
that's just his thing, man.
It's his thing. But when they're not about to feed, when they don't have the makeup on, they're just their normal selves. They talk normally, they walk normally. I don't like it when they go vampire and suddenly they're moving like a stereotypical, like slow, staring-eyed,
like, only
no dialogue.
That doesn't happen to Blacula. It only happens to everybody else. Yeah,
but everyone's just like zombie-ish, and I'm like, stop. Where did your personality go? Why aren't you going, come back here, baby? I want that.
Yeah.
And I didn't get that.
I want a jive talking vampire, man.
It's all I've wanted. I want full-on Dracula doing that.
Oh. We'll get Barbara Billingsley in here to speak jive for us.
Oh, man. Say, mama, dug your rap. Airplane, a movie I can just about quote from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, and then we have the white lady vampire in there twice also.
Yep.
And she's really only, I mean, she doesn't have a big part. She's in the beginning.
But she's the only white lady in the movie, so she goes on the poster twice.
Pretty much, except for the old couple at the party, which cracked me up.
One of the best shots in this, and like one of my favorite cuts to something in a scene. You're just like,
I love it. Did you not get flashbacks to Dracula 80, 1972?
100%.
Where they had the cool swinging hippie party, but there were old people sitting there going, I can't believe all of this.
These two seem less horrified, more just like, this is a little odd.
Mm-hmm.
But
I think
they actually go with it,
I think they actually were guests. I mean, they're not like, what has happened to our home?
We were here for the artifacts, but I suppose if this party is broken out, then that's fine.
I guess there's some funk going down.
Oh, dear. Things are getting funky, mother.
But anyway, so that actress, we'll talk about her, Barbara Rhodes. I mean, she's fine. She has a little bitty part.
Yeah.
But you'll see her in so much 70s TV. So she's a face.
You've got his vampire army then surrounding the circle of candles. And then we got Pam Grier over here performing a voodoo ceremony of some sort with her hands clasped together.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it says in bright red lettering at the top, "The Black Prince of Shadows stalks the earth again."
That works.
Good tagline.
Yeah.
I like it. And then it's in purple font, Scream, then in red font and tilted, Blacula, and then back to purple font, Scream.
Oh, yeah. Now, if you saw that walking down the street in 1972, would you go, I'm going. I'm going to go see this.
Done.
Yeah.
Ticket sold. I got to see this. There's no way I wouldn't have been at the first screening of Scream.
You know what mistake I just made is continuing on in the IMDb photos, because there become a lot of Pam Grier shots, and I am actually losing all attention. I can't focus.
There's no question that in this one, there's very much like, this is our leading lady. We've got these. I don't know what the shot of her kneeling down with some kind of weapon is, because that's not in the movie. What is that she even has in that photo? You see what I'm talking about?
No, isn't that her with the voodoo doll of Blacula?
Where she's like on her knees and pointing it towards the camera?
Oh, no. I was saying the one where she's...
No, I'm talking about, there's one where she's like out in a field in front of a fence, and she's...
Oh, that. Well, that's not from this movie. That's just...
There's no way that's from this movie.
No. I have no idea what movie that's from.
One of any number of movies where she's pointing a weapon at someone.
But I don't even know what weappen that is. That's the thing. I couldn't
figure out what's even in her hand.
It looks like she's pointing a corn cob at us.
Yeah. You're going to eat this corn, goddammit.
Okay, all right.
All right.
I certainly will.
Whatever you say, Pam Grier.
And then the next picture
Hmm?
will destroy all human beings when you move to the very next one. Good
Yeah.
Lord. All right,
Yeah.
moving on.
I was going to also say, as a huge Miami Vice fan, Pam Grier also had a recurring role on that show. As
Yeah,
Tubbs'
she did.
former partner / love interest.
And way to go, Tubbs. That's all I'm going to say.
Hey, Tubbs got a lot of action on that show.
He certainly did.
I mean, people remember Crockett marrying Sheena Easton, but I think if you were to really rack up numbers, Tubbs might have him beat.
Yeah, you're right, but none of Tubbs's girlfriends sang "My Baby Takes the Morning Train."
It's true, but Tubbs did impregnate the daughter of their arch nemesis Calderon.
Ooh,
Mm-hmm. Before Crockett blasted him with a machine gun into a pool.
I do not have the box set that you do.
Oh, then you don't remember that John Leguizamo shows up as Calderon's son, seeking vengeance on them?
Nope.
Yep.
Nope, but I do remember the episode with Glenn Frey where they used Smuggler's Blues, both the song and they named the episode.
I was going to say, an episode titled Smuggler's Blues. Yeah. Who could forget?
We fell down a hole. We fell down a hole.
He was okay in that episode.
Yeah, he was an okay actor.
He's not great, but he was okay. He was serviceable.
Sure.
All right. Scream, Blacula, Scream, which we'll talk about the song at the end of this movie, which I really want to, because this movie has a song. But let me look through the alternate taglines here to see if we have anything else that's as good. No, it's just, once again, Blacula is the most horrifying film of the decade, according to the Count Dracula Society. I guess they just
kind of used it again.
They just ported that over. They're like, it still counts in the sequel.
You know what? Yeah.
If the last movie is the most horrifying film of the decade, then the sequel surely is very good, too.
Yeah. The sequel, I wish the Count Dracula Society had actually given it its own quote, because it's so much better.
I will also say, watching this movie, I kept thinking, Blacula, in this movie, acts more like I want Dracula to act in most of the Dracula movies we watched.
John, one thing I'm going to need you to do is stop reading my mind. The portrayal of Blacula here, his persona, the way he commands, the way he is both charming, and then you cross him, he is fucking frightening. This is what I want Dracula to be. And him commanding people. Him with his army saying, I mean, this is very much taken. There were very clear things like, oh, let's use that from the novel. Because the whole thing of like, no one touch her, she is mine.
Yes.
Is very much a Dracula thing of like, don't touch Jonathan Harker, he's mine. So Vampire Brides, get the fuck
we saw Christopher Lee do a couple of times.
Yeah. It's a classic Dracula bit.
Yeah, because the moments we loved Christopher Lee was when he was just like smacking down other vampires.
Oof.
Or how many times a woman would try to get close, he'd be like, get the fuck off of me.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, when they're like, the two of us are gonna take over the world. He's like, bitch, please.
Yeah.
I think that's a direct quote, but I can't remember which movie.
Please.
Taste the Blood? I can't remember. It was one
of them. Yeah, I think it might be Satanic Rites. I don't know. So anyway, we open this movie with a funeral, basically, of a voodoo cult leader.
Yeah.
The high priestess of this voodoo religion, I guess.
The Mama Loa.
Yeah. And they're like, she has died. And oh no, she never, apparently, it must have been somewhat of a sudden death because she never officially named a successor.
Right.
And so
the two people up for it are Lisa, who is sort of an adopted protege, though not truly adopted.
Right.
Who's clearly the pick because it's Pam Grier.
It's Pam Grier, I think. I
want
to be the guy who's like, it should clearly be her. I mean, look at her.
The son, who is Willis, who is very egotistical and therefore assumed he would become the Papa Loa.
Yeah, I like where it's like she never named a successor. He goes, well, then it's me.
I know. And
well, actually, now it goes to a vote, which I love that it goes to a democratic decision.
Yeah, it's the entire cult voodoo cult, and they're like, you know what? We're going with Lisa, yo.
I also want to say this is one of the more like casual and subdued voodoo cults I've seen in a movie.
Well, I mean, they're
not
not
really,
doing a
they're really,
ceremony. This is just them seeing someone off to the other side. This isn't
just in
any
general,
kind of
like they don't pose any kind of threat in this movie or anything. They seem to be fairly benign as a voodoo cult.
Yeah, it's true.
Usually when I watch horror movies, the voodoo cult is like, duh, fear the voodoo. Here, it's Blacula going, maybe a voodoo can help me.
Yeah, it's like, you guys have power. But essentially they're presenting it actually a little bit more reasonably like they would, which is this is just a religious faith. So similar to Wiccan or anything like that, this movie is actually positing they're not boogeymen bad people. They just practice a pagan religion that we are not comfortable or
in fact,
with.
I've never seen a voodoo doll be the key weapon to destroying evil in a movie before.
That's maybe I have, but the thing I really did like that this movie, without it going, they didn't go really hardcore into it, but still, this one starts with, I mean, voodoo is the essential thing. They're not going to any kind of Eastern European nonsense. It's all just about like voodoo is the primary factor here, and I dug that from the get-go. I also dug that the would-be Papaloa says, "That's it. I'm done with all of you turkeys." And he actually kind of says, "Don't fuck with Big Willis." Now, his character's Willis. I don't think anyone else in the movie calls him Big Willis, but at least in that first scene, he calls himself Big Willis.
I love the idea that he's trying to get that going.
Yeah.
Nobody fuck with Big Willis.
No one picking up.
And I just like the idea that he's hoping somebody will go like, well, I guess maybe we should call him Big Willis and say that sounded good. I like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically,
it's Big Willis. Excuse me, it's Big Willis.
They vote Lisa in. He basically says, "I'm going to get revenge on you, dudes."
Yeah.
And he leaves.
Mm-hmm. Well, because and there's some other people going like, "It's over, man. Let it go.
Let it go."
Yeah. Also, the character's name is Willis. I could not just keep thinking, what you talking about, Willis, as I was watching it. Every time he would go on one of these rants, I would just sit here alone to myself going, what you talking about, Willis?
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Anyway.
You're preaching to the choir here.
Anyway,
exactly the same
he
thing.
immediately goes to this old man, this he was removed as the high priest of the voodoo.
Yeah.
They dethroned this guy. So that immediately tells us he might not be on the up and up. And he goes, all right, well, here, if you really want to get him back, take this bag of bones. But hey, there's some pretty powerful shit in here.
Yeah, this guy that gives him that is another failed voodoo priest. And this guy
keeps happening.
I know.
There keeps being debates about who should be in charge of this cult.
For a good long stretch, until later in the movie, this was my favorite character because he is 100% goofy looking. He is 100% cartoony community theater.
It's interesting because all the other voodoo people actually look pretty normal in the movie.
Right, and this guy is supposed to look like he's like a street guy.
Yeah.
But he's got like a gray afro, which looked like a wig that they'd put on him. So it looks cartoony.
He also has big gray eyebrows glued to him too.
Big woolly eyebrows, and he's got the. It's one of those things where they're trying to make it look like he has this old hat he's been wearing for years, but it's clearly a hat they just bought at a costume shop and snipped that with a pair of scissors, and it doesn't have a sweat stain or anything, and it's just this, and it's on top of that afro, so it looks like it's always kind of wiggling, like it's going to pop off.
This actor pointing his son, he goes, "This is really what you want me to look like?" Okay.
Right. And then they basically said, "Can you make yourself seem like you are kind of a mystic dude, but you're also a wino?" He's just kind of going, "Hey, boy, these bones is powerful. There's a magic you want to be." And I was like going, "Wow."
I walked past this guy in downtown Portland the other day. He's going, hey, man, powerful magic.
It is. I was at a TriMet stop and was handed a bag of bones, but told that there was a power I wasn't ready to deal with.
And of course, Willis being we've seen this character in a million things. This guy who's like, whatever, yeah, I'll do the ceremony and get all the power so I can get back.
I'm the son of the former Mama Loa, so I know the shit, and I'm way powerful, so no big deal.
And so
he takes the bones
and he starts the ceremony we saw on the poster with the circle of candles, and he's praying to whatever, and then
he is speaking all that French because, as we know, Voodoo, Haitian, French, it's all there.
I imagine this movie is incredibly accurate to all that.
Very accurate.
Sure. And then it's a classic. Nothing happens, and he's like, "Damn it! I shouldn't have listened to that crazy wino."
He bleeds a dove or pigeon.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I don't like any kind of violence against animals in these movies. Love violence against people, hate violence against animals.
Oh, I'm sorry, we're on the opposite sides. I cannot wait to see an animal get butchered on screen. But yeah, so he does that, and then he puts blood on himself and then on the bones, and he does the chanting. The fire kicks up, and as you say, then the fire dies down. And he's like, "Well, fuck."
But as the fire is rising up, we cut to Pam Grier, who kind of turns her head like, there's trouble somewhere.
She's got Sorcerer Supreme senses. She's like, what?
I just want.
And then we cut back to Willis, and he's just sitting there like, oh, fuck.
I love depressed Willis at the table going like, the ceremony didn't work.
It didn't work.
And then,
but
wouldn't you believe, here comes Blacula.
This was shot pretty well. I mean, first, except for they do unnecessary zoom-ins. I'm like, look, we all saw Blacula's shadow appear on the wall. And then the camera's like, I don't know if they saw it. Move in!
This movie is nothing but dramatic entrances of Blacula.
It's very true.
This is one
of
he
walks
10
in
this movie,
He walks in. Willis doesn't know he's there. His hand comes in, and then he pulls Willis back, and Willis is like, what? Just in time for Blacula to lean in, get chomping.
Mm-hmm. And then we go to very funky opening titles.
Oh.
So
these were similar to the first movie.
Funky. They are similar to the first movie, except it's really it's a drawing of Blacula's face, then that turns into the shape of a bat.
Yeah.
Then does it turn into something else then?
Oh yeah. It turns into a male figure. It's very quasi Saul Bass kind of animation kind of thing, like the first one where they freeze frame on William Marshall's face, then it becomes like a Xerox copy, and then they simplify it even more into white space, black space, so they can then animate those shapes into a bat, into a body, and then it's moving, and then then there's a bat again,
and then it's funky piece of music playing on
it. Now this movie, the only thing it didn't have going for it was there was no Hughes Corporation, but you know, it's okay.
I still am missing. I mean, I know there's kind of a Blacula theme at the end, but I'm still missing that like Blacula. Like
I would have liked that.
That's what I expect out of a blaxploitation movie. I want my
this one has like a couple of different kind of songs that are like, he's a mystery man. I'm like, I know.
I wrote that down, because they use that, and it's one of the most on the nose sound cues I've heard since Amanda Waller's entrance in the David Ayer Suicide Squad. But I still
thanks WB.
Yeah. I know, and since the WB cut, David Ayer would have me say,
the WWW.
I didn't want that shit in the movie, says David Ayer. So we come back out of the opening titles, and we're in Willis's house, and Blacula enters in his full cape with a snifter of cognac or whatever, and he's just like,
oh, it's great.
Yeah, I mean, this guy comes back from the dead with no problem whatsoever.
Nope.
He's just back, and he's almost just like, Daddy's home.
Yep.
And he's got it. And this time he does have the red lining in the cape. We talked about that last time that he had the gray
because he
lining.
had white.
Yeah, sort of a dark, grayish,
silverish white, which
I like.
Also
but then here we have the more classic red.
He's got red.
Yeah, and he's like, so smooth. And he almost is just like, well, where was I? He just gets back to it. And I love this scene Willis is trying to look at himself in the mirror, but he has no reflection. And Willis
Okay.
asks the best question.
Before you get
okay,
to it,
yeah,
I have killed your momentum, but I gotta say,
yeah.
we have to address his suit.
Willis's suit, yeah.
This thing, I mean, 70s fashions, they are traditionally wacky, especially the more funky you got. But this thing, it's all black and white. And the coat is like black and white grid. And then the pants go into the vest. The vest and the pants are one. Almost like it's like they're overalls, but skin tight. And they have a different black and white pattern. And then the shirt and the huge tie are also one piece. And the huge tie has yet a third black and white pattern on it. And all I could sit there was like going, holy fuck. And then I started going online to see if I could find a suit like that, because all I want is to no, it's ridiculous. No one could pull that off, even Big Willis. But I was blown the fuck away by his suit. I urge our listeners to go and watch this film. I'm just telling them to watch the film.
I actually do think it is worth a watch.
Yeah, but I want you guys to pause on this scene just to take in that suit. So Willis is going to a party, and I'm like, wait, didn't he get turned into a vampire just a few minutes ago? And he's upset because, he did get turned into a vampire. He can't see himself in the mirror.
Blacula walks in. Willis is trying to leave himself, and he just turns to Black and goes, and points to the mirror that doesn't have his reflection. He goes, "Does this have something to do with you?" Yeah, it does.
Yeah, Blacula actually says
he gives him like a yeah.
Well, he goes, well, yeah, there's some drawbacks to the life of the cursed, and he's like, and this is one of them. He goes, you mean I can't see myself?
And then he has one of my favorite lines in the movie, which I wrote down. He says,
"I
don't mind being a vampire, but this really ain't hip."
Yep. This really ain't hip. And then he goes, I mean,
this should have been explained to me before I was turned into a vampire.
He goes, this really ain't him. And he goes, I mean, a man has got to see his face.
And then I like, the scene goes on for a little bit, and at the end of it he goes, okay, well tell me, do I look good?
Yeah, there's actually a very sweet insecurity about Willis. He's like, okay. But do I look good? Yeah. And then he's like, I'm just going to the party because it's my girlfriend's party and it's going to be funky. And then Blacula lays down the law. He goes, you're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
You go nowhere unless I say you go somewhere. Oh, it's so good.
If you disobey me, I will end you. You're like...
Yeah. He says, like, I will slit your chest and pull out your worthless life from your body or whatever. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Nice. I am just like, Blacula's way cooler in this one.
Yeah.
And he was pretty cool in the last movie, but here he's just a badass in this movie.
He has just gotten incrementally cooler.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, we have to get a flashback to the previously on Blacula as we see Dracula once again curse him, and you're like, right, yeah, because he's a vampire. Anyway.
Yeah.
Blacula
you will bear my name.
Yeah.
You will be Blacula.
Which, man, when he accepts that title at the end of this movie, it is something, man.
It's both great and stupid, but I love it.
In the best way. It's such a comic book villain moment. But Blacula goes to the party because he heard that the guy throwing the party is showing off African artifacts that he has. And it's almost as if he's like, well, I'm from Africa. I might be interested in these. And luckily, as we'll find out, a lot of these artifacts actually do have a lot to do with him.
Very, very specifically.
What are the odds? That's a huge continent with many artifacts to be found from its history. But
this turns out to have belonged to my wife.
Yeah, it makes it seem like the only African history is that of Blacula.
Of Mama Waldy and Luva.
Yeah, Luva. I love
pretty good.
I love whenever William, because he always is just like Luva.
Luva.
Yeah. He
The
really does.
emotion spills out when I
He
mention her
really
name.
is able to punch that and really bring some gravitas. I like it.
Uh-huh.
So he goes to this. It's a very funky party.
Oh, it's funky.
He goes to the party. Meanwhile, Willis's friends have shown up to pick him
Yeah.
up for the party, and they're
Willis's friends, there's a black guy and then the white girl. And the
Yeah.
white girl is the aforementioned Barbara Rhodes.
playing Elaine, and then
Playing Elaine.
I don't know who the other guy is.
Yeah, I don't know if he had a long
Is
career.
that Lewis? No, Lewis is somebody else.
Lewis is somebody else. I'm not sure who this guy's name was.
Bernie Hamilton's in here somewhere, and I did not recognize him.
I think he was the dude with the fro.
He is, because it's Ragman. Holy
Ragman.
shit. Well, I know Bernie Hamilton.
I know Bernie Hamilton too, but just not with those big cotton ball eyebrows and goofy wig.
Yeah, he's Captain Dobie from Starsky and Hutch.
Yes, he is.
Also in a Pam Grier movie I like very much is Fred Williamson, Bucktown.
Bucktown I've actually never seen.
Bucktown is very fun. Whatever you want, they've got, and Bucktown is where you'll find it.
Oh, speaking of which, Richard Lawson, who plays Willis, he had a long and good career, which is good because the guy is a good actor. He's quite good in this.
Yeah.
I
think the acting across the board is better in this one than it was in the first one.
Just a couple of years later, or actually just the next year after this, he's in one of my favorite blaxploitation horror films, Sugar Hill, which we won't be covering here, but it's a voodoo blaxploitation gang war movie. Highly recommended.
Very fun, very fun.
Yeah.
Not to be confused with the Wesley Snipes 90s gangster movie, Sugar Hill.
Or the rapper group, the Sugar Hill Gang.
Actually, no, they are in it. No. And also I see that Bernie Hamilton was also in Hammer with Fred Williamson. So,
there you go.
Yeah, I do love a boxing movie as well.
I know you do.
So
we're at the party.
We're at the party.
Oh, we're not at the party yet.
No. Yeah, Willis's friend, Blacula's gone to the party.
Right.
Oh no, he's about to go to the party because the two of them will tag team these two.
Yes, Willis's friends walk in. It's just the two of them there. And by the way, this isn't Willis's house. This is Willis's house sitting for somebody. They're like, oh, he's got a nice gig here.
It doesn't matter though, because that person
doesn't really.
Them, so why not just make it Willis's house? Like,
I know, but they go in there like,
wow, nobody would believe Willis has a nice house.
They're like, it is kind of a big mansion, but they walk in. They're like, hey, Willis, where are you? And yes, Blacula is on his way out, and he's like, I'm going to get me some of this. Because he literally just hops on the guy.
He does right away, and it does do the thing I don't like from all these movies, which is a lengthy scene of people looking around an empty house, which I'm like, I get you're trying to build tension, but it's like, move on, movie.
Yeah.
It's one of those things because it's like, we already know Blacula's here. I guess that's the thing about it. Like, once the monster is shown up minutes into the film, it's then hard to be like, is there a monster in this house? This movie is from Blacula's perspective mostly, so it's kind of weird to suddenly, Anyway,
there's not much purpose to the drawn out part of this, but
no, it's not like the Night Stalker where it's purposely, is there a vampire here? We do not know.
So
it's always the Night Stalker is
the guy.
I'm always going to be like, well, it's not as good as the Night Stalker, but
no, nothing's as good.
No, so he gets the guy at the top of the stairs, and I like.
And then Willis shows up.
The woman doesn't hear any of that guy screaming and being murdered.
No.
Because then all of a sudden Willis appears in front of her,
and she's like, "Oh, hey, Willis,"
and he just starts stalking towards her. Of course.
Yeah, we see that he's vamped out.
Yeah.
He's got the makeup and the fangs.
And then he's chasing her all around the house until she eventually collides with Blacula. And
this is kind of overdone.
Then this thing of her she's just frozen in place, screaming, and they're just kind of watching her until she eventually just faints. She screams herself out and passes out.
Yeah. Because Blacula and Willis, who she does know, but he is clearly a vampire now, she's losing it. And she's like, ah! And she screams for a good long while, passes out.
I was laughing. It's very silly how long she screams.
It's very silly. But I do like that Willis then gets down, and then he looks up at Blacula like, "Is it okay that I drink her blood?"
He's
And,
like,
and
go
Blacula's like,
ahead. Yes.
"Yep, this is your first one.
Yeah.
Have fun, youngster."
I got the juice box at the top of the stairs.
So that's what happens.
Yeah.
So 2 people down.
So now we go to the party where the guy is. This is Justin, who is sort of our hero of the movie. This is Don Mitchell. All of these actors, by the way, have done other stuff for sure. Like
Yeah, long careers.
Because these are better. Did this movie have? This movie must have had more money than the first one because it seemed like the acting was better. It also just looked better.
It did actually. I think this was directed better, looked better.
Yeah.
We didn't have a paper mache dungeon in this one.
The camera work is just it just feels a little bit more assured.
It was still AIP though, so I mean it was the same. I can only assume that maybe the first one did well enough. They're like, hey, bump up the budget for number 2.
I forgot. This movie is directed by Bob Keljan, director of the Count Yorga films.
Mm-hmm.
I forgot about that. He directed.
He's getting slightly better with each film.
He is. Well, look, I'm no Yorga fan, and I just think
that's not what I've heard. But yeah, you keep on telling your little stories there. Whatever.
Blacula's just a better vampire too.
Yorga forever.
Yeah, Yorga just because he does actually a lot of the same stuff he did in Yorga, but it's more effective here because Blacula is a more intimidating figure than when Yorga was just running down a hallway at people.
Well, Yorga also was even more clearly, even though this is Blacula who gets turned into a vampire by Dracula, Yorga's very much just a sort of cast-off Dracula.
He's a poor man.
Blacula, Mama Waldy, Waldy, he has more. There's more character there.
Much more.
And of course, a much better actor.
Oh my God.
An actor with
William
presence
Marshall.
For days and days and days.
Having watched both of these, I'm now like, I need to watch more of William Marshall's performances and stuff. I mean, I've seen him.
I will say his only fault is that he is not an actor you can plug into anything.
No.
Because it's just anything. Because William Marshall is always that. Well, his stately bearing, his diction,
growing
he
up
is this guy.
As a avid viewer of Pee-wee's Playhouse, of course, know him as the king of cartoons, and it's the exact same performance, basically.
There's a regalness that he could not.
Another cartoon, Pee-wee!
Yeah. He can't cover it up.
No. That's why he was great on that. I mean, I loved him as a kid, as the king. I was such a Pee-wee Herman fan as a kid.
It's okay. You're allowed to be.
No,
now.
I still enjoy it as an adult. I don't watch it all the time, but I still watch Pee-wee's Christmas special every Christmas, though.
As well, you should.
It's one of my go-tos. Okay, so he's at the party now, and they're talking about the origins of this necklace that and of course, in classic Blacula enters fashion, she's like, actually, that's not where it's from.
This party is at a home/gallery.
Yeah.
And it's meant to show off this collection of African antiquities. And there is
of this former cop.
Yeah. Apparently he quit being a cop and now he's all about, archaeology or something.
Yeah.
But
and and the party is him showing this off before he donates it to the museum.
And there's a African specialist history guy who's saying, this is from the blah blah region, and that's Blacula walking and going, actually, I think you'll find it's from the blah 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 region.
Yeah.
And he's like, I don't know if that's true. He's like, yes.
It belonged to Luva.
To Princess Luva. And he's like, oh. And it dates from 1730 something or other.
I like goes, did you happen to find the matching one made for Prince Mamawalde or whatever,
Yeah.
And they're like, no,
and
we
he's
didn't.
Like, nope.
Oh, damn.
I understand it's quite nice.
Yes, it's a nice one. Anyway.
So, without being too much of an asshole, he basically mansplains what this thing is.
Yeah.
The necklace.
Is it
and
the
professor...
if he's talking to 2 other men? I mean,
yeah, it's still mansplaining.
It's still a mansplaining it. Also, if the man is a vampire... He's vamp-splaining.
Vamp-splaining. He's vamp-splaining. And the professor guy does go,
if you'd like,
that cat knows what he's talking about.
And then they say, if you want to see more of the collection, I'm sure our friend Lisa can show you around. Cut to, why, what's this? The glorious Pam Grier.
One thing I liked about this movie very much is that it doesn't ever become it's not an overt romantic thing.
No, he it's her power to help him that he's attracted.
Yeah, he's drawn to her power right off the bat, and of course she's beguiling. And so there's undercurrent.
And also, look at that rack, am I right?
Oh, damn it!
I mean, look.
I'm glad you said it. I'm glad you said it, so it
I
doesn't
didn't
have to
say
be
it.
something
Blacula
where they
said
go,
it.
oh.
That's
Is
a
that
line
gonna be
from
your,
the movie.
You're going to use that in court?
Look,
it
I
wasn't
may be
me,
a vampire,
it was...
but I ain't dead, if you know what I mean.
Blacula, can we speak to John now? Is he in there? We'd like to speak to John.
Sorry, I was in character.
I didn't kill those people. It was Blacula.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's murder, but it's definitely racist in some capacity. That's for sure. So anyway, yeah, he is sort of like, oh, who's this now? And she takes him through. We get this unnecessary. This is where they play. He's a mystery man. As she's leading him through the party, where we just have this montage of people dancing and Blackie looking around like, crazy, but also not because he only has been dead for like a year, maybe. I don't know. He's already walked around the 70s, so anytime he's like, this crazy world, I'm like, you already saw it last time, man.
He doesn't do too much of that this time.
We get one scene when he's walking down the street and he's looking at all the like strip clubs. He's like, no.
I think that's more social commentary. Like, I do not approve of what my people are doing.
Yes, I do wish it. I like that idea because when he talks about like you're just slavers enslaving our own people,
when he
that's good
confronts
stuff.
Those pimps, that's awesome.
Wish it wasn't only strip clubs that he saw.
Well, I also have a feeling that that's a very empty message from a man who is enslaving his own people through vampirism. It does make his argument very weak.
This is where my idea, and I can't tell you how clearly I have the Blacula remake.
Well, I don't want you to tell me. I want you to write it.
Well, unfortunately somebody else is on it, but the idea being, my idea for it is in the modern take, he is turning black people into vampires to give them power over their oppressors.
I like it.
Yeah, that's the whole idea is I'm giving back the power that you have taken away from my people.
Only a white man could write that, so you get right on.
I know, that's kind of the problem. Is like, I
represent, John, represent.
As I've said before about this, is like I would like to outline that and then hand that off to somebody else.
Yeah, work with somebody on that.
I think there's a lot of ideas there, but I'm just like, oh, it writes itself, man. There is inherent social commentary you can get in here in a non-clumsy, tossed-in manner like it is in this movie. But
it is.
Also, in my script, fucking Blacula's the hero.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, he's an anti-hero because he's still a vampire, but like, we would be on the side of that.
Well, here, he almost is too. His goal in this is to free himself.
I actually don't care for his sudden villain turn down the stretch of this thing.
Well, but it's because the magic went wrong.
Right.
I guess fucked
that's
with.
True. I guess that's true. But I'm like, I was rooting for him down the stretch of this movie.
You seem to have taken this very personally. Do you need a minute?
I really like Mama Walden. I really like this guy. So yeah, she takes him through this party of people dancing, pretty much just so they can play this Mystery Man song, it seems like.
Yeah.
And I think it's in here that you see the old people we were talking about.
Yes.
Where they're just like, dig these funky kids.
Yeah, well, I kind of liked the fact that they were trying to make this a real... I mean, the predominant folks there are all black folk, but you also have... They were trying to make it a mixed crowd. There's like an Asian...
who are excited to see the artifacts before they go on display.
There's like a young Asian guy dancing, and then there's like there's a couple of white folks in there. And then, of course, we have the
dancing terribly. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, because that's what they do. And then you have the old white couple that just cracked me up, sitting on the couch going, well, This is the new generation.
Well, I can't argue with the kids today. They're having a good time.
Slice me off a chunk of that.
So then Lisa takes Blacula into the back to look at some more artifacts.
Yeah, we know what that means.
Yeah,
we know what that means. Yeah.
But she goes, I just can't shake the feeling that we've met before. And for half a second, I'm like, oh, please, not another reincarnated person. Thankfully,
yeah, that was a
but
fear.
I thought, like, are you kidding me? No, okay. So I actually don't know what the point of that line is, other than I guess that she sensed him coming back into the world.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're doing a reincarnation thing at all. It's just that power recognizes power, and she's trying to place it.
And I thought it was interesting when he goes, well, game recognizes game.
Yeah. You're voodoo, I'm vampire. Can't we just get along?
Let's see. Oh, yeah. So then they look at the voodoo doll in the display, which we get the
Yes.
setup of, there's a voodoo doll. Yes. That's a thing everyone knows about voodoo. And then this is where we get the other woman, but this is Gloria.
Yeah.
She comes in, Janie Michelle is her name, and she goes, well, Lisa certainly knows about voodoo because she's the most powerful voodoo person in the world.
Right. she does set her up like that. There's two side characters. There's Willis's girlfriend. That's not her, right?
No. Gloria is Lisa's friend who's going to get bit at the party here.
Right, and she was the one that was giving him goo-goo eyes like the second he walked in. She was the one that was like going, I want some William Marshall.
You're thinking
the other one is Denny.
Denny.
Yes, Denny's the one that is Willis's girlfriend, who apparently isn't too worried that he hasn't shown up for this party.
Nope. She's like, whatever.
Whatevs.
Oh, I'm looking at her IMDb. She was on the other ER.
The sitcom ER?
Yeah. Which also had George Clooney.
I know, that is one of the weirdest things.
One of the absolute weirdest things.
Like his agent calls him up. I'm sending you out on ER. No, it got canceled. I was already on it. No, I'm sending you out on ER. What? I don't. What?
George, they said they want you, and they said it's gonna work this time.
They've cut the laughs down, and they hired this guy named Crichton.
Yeah.
Love it that he has absolutely no idea what the actual thing is. Yeah. So right, she comes
so she
in.
Just goes, well, don't you know Lisa has more voodoo power than anyone? And he's like, really?
More than Brother Voodoo? Jericho Drum?
So he's talking to her about, yes, tell me more about this voodoo. And so she's talking,
so well.
She's talking about the voodoo and whatnot. And then all of a sudden, oh no, Gloria comes in and she's cut her hand open. And we get the classic vampire, like, blood.
This actually, I mean, this movie is better than the first one.
Yeah.
And it has moments that are smart and good vampire movie moments. But there's so much dumb stuff like this thing. This woman at the party has cut her hand, and of course he notices. He's like, I smell delicious blood.
Not only does he notice, he's like, I have to go now.
Well, that's the thing, is that this vampire...
must leave.
This isn't subtle. He's gonna double back just to kill...
Blacula is many things. He is never subtle, sir.
He doubles back and kills a woman at a party. Like, in the most public... I'm like, why? There's blood in all the people.
I love him leaving and then being like, should I? Yes, I'll go back in through the garage.
That's what I call an open invitation.
Once you have that, once you get the taste for it, you just can't stop until you're satiated.
I suppose you're going to walk by that bowl of M&Ms and not have a few. I don't think so.
Imagine if one of those was broken open so you could see the chocolate inside. Delicious.
And so he decides to go back to the bowl of M&Ms. So he does. He leaves the party, does a loop around.
Yep, comes in through the garage and up the stairs.
Let's not forget there's a shaky drunk guy who watches him do this.
No, that guy sees him when he comes out and turns into a bat.
Oh, I thought he was already there when he goes in.
I think they might have established him there, but they really make a point of him later.
Yeah, they make a point of him when he comes out.
I love that guy's weird little performance.
I enjoyed it too. I kept going, wait, do I like him more now?
Yeah. So
maybe I like him more.
So we need a spin-off about this guy. I saw a man turn into a bat.
I want to team him up with the pimp from Superman. Say, Jim, woo, that's a bad outfit.
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah. Have I talked about that? The fact that Tom Mankiewicz has two different people say Jim in his scripts? Because he also uses it in Live and Let Die.
Really?
Yeah. My pal Ibrahim and I talk about that a lot as both Superman and James Bond fans, that we think that was just something Tom Mankiewicz was like, well, that's just how black people talk.
I guess so. Say, Jim.
Yeah, because it's in both. Somebody says it when James Bond arrives in
You're
Harlem,
right.
too. Say,
You're right.
Jim. It's the same, and it's the same kind of delivery. And
maybe it's the same guy.
J.T. Pepper, of course, exists in both worlds too.
Oh,
Sheriff J.W. Pepper. J-Dub Pepper. Yeah.
I don't want to.
Also, just like Mankiewicz stuff.
I need you to stop stealing my joy by bringing up J.W. Pepper.
Never. Secret agent. Anyway.
So
he sneaks upstairs, bites this woman, then apparently doesn't get out of there too fast.
Nope.
Because there's enough time for her to stumble down the stairs.
Yeah.
Pam Grier sees her and screams. So everybody's like, oh my God, something happened to Gloria. And then there's still enough time that as Blacula is walking outside with like, yes, that hit the spot. There are already sirens coming towards the house. How fucking long did he wait around upstairs?
He went to the bathroom. He washed his hands. He's a very, dainty.
Can't be too careful about the spread of germs.
Yeah. So he walks out. The pimp guy sees him, and then
it's not. He's just a drunk guy. We get
that's
to the
true.
Pimp
That's
guy
right.
Later. But this is where he's like, the fuzz.
And he goes, bat.
Yeah, he does go bat. I mean, there is not too far of a line between those voices.
No, there really isn't.
There's a similar regality, and needless drama to it.
And it's down in the chest.
Yes,
comes from there.
Everything is just needlessly dramatic when it's said. But
can I just say I just recently rewatched the Jackie Daytona episode.
One of the greatest half hours of TV comedy I've ever.
Yes, I would like a regular human alcohol drink. Well, I can get you one, old boy, because I'm a regular human bartender. Jesus Christ, that thing is brilliant.
Him and Mark Hamill are both just crushing it in that episode.
Uh-huh.
The girls
you didn't know the girls' volleyball and vampirism would go so closely together.
Oh, now, well, look what we've done. We've ruined their chances at state. The cost of our battle.
Oh my God!
It's and Jim the vampire, of course. With the I want that business card. So anyway, yeah. So he turns into a bat, and we get this guy has no lines, but he does this turn as he sees him turn, and he's like, huh? Whoa. And then he kind of turns back and gives like a,
yeah. It's a good take. Like he gives a whole take.
He does, and they leave every second of it in the movie.
Because they were sitting there going, that is gold.
My note just says, Blacula turns to bat, weird guy sees it.
That does it?
Yeah. So now he's back in his human appearance, and he's walking down the street, shaking his head at strip clubs.
He's looking at it's like Skid Row-ish bars.
Maybe
and
I'm
24 hours
in the right part of town, but I have never once, as movies always taught me, seen giant neon signs that say like all nude girls.
Well, I have.
Is that right? I feel like maybe it was a time period thing, and now it's a little bit more subtle.
not huge, but I mean, I lived in New York and I lived in LA, and so yes, I have seen these things, including um, my favorite one, which was Crazy Girls in LA. And every time I'd pass there with my brother, we'd make jokes about they just have severe illness issues. You go in there and they're totally nude, but they're like going, I'm so fat. I'm so fat. I'm just so fat.
Somebody
go to Crazy Girls.
Some of them, they listen to us. They listen to us right now. I'm telling you. They can hear everything we're saying. One of them's nude except for the tinfoil hat on the head, Trying to read my mind.
Gatorade. That's how they get you. It's Gatorade.
The whole thing, 9/11 was an inside job.
It was inside job. You're going, I'm not aroused.
Yeah.
I'm worried about them.
I get that she's naked, but it's the
all
rest
nude,
of it that's killing it.
All disturbed.
You won't believe how crazy these girls get.
But see, this upsets Blacula. He's not. He's sad.
He's just like, what does the world come to?
And as he walks by, a woman says, "Hey, you need some company? You looking for some company?"
And he almost is like, excuse me? Yeah, say that again. What did you say? And it's just like, all right, just say no, man. Like, you don't have to like get up in her face about it.
You do if you're Blacula.
And he's just like, I don't care for any of this. You could do better, honey.
What's interesting, though, I mean, it's a movie of the 70s.
But it's also like, look, I just totally tore a woman's throat out earlier. But this, not cool.
The thing that cracked me up is she's actually dressed fairly conservatively.
Yeah,
I was expecting
look like
her
a prostitute. She looks like a woman who just got off the shift in the store she's in front of.
Yeah,
and is
she
waiting
looks
for her
less
ride.
Sexy than the women at the party.
Yeah.
So I was like, this is interesting take. But anyways, yeah, she's like going
in this dress that shows none of your body.
And she goes, whatever, man, you're weird.
Yeah. Of course I am. I'm a man walking down the street in a full cape.
I know. What gave it away? Was it the cape?
I stand out like a sore thumb everywhere I go. It's
the
my
silk
thing.
lining. I should have kept the white. The red is too flashy.
I knew the red was too much, but I was talked into it, damn it. Willis said it would look good, and
don't fuck with Big Willis.
And so I love the idea, though, of being propositioned by a hooker and then saying, no, and then her two pimps coming up and going, what's wrong with the merchandise, man?
That is where it really took a left turn from reality.
That is a first. That is the first I've seen.
Pimps don't aggressively come after you going, why don't you want to pay for sex with my worker?
I mean, look at her. Come on, man. Well, I just came from a party with Pam Grier. Oh, then we get it. Oh, she looks like literal garbage then to you.
They go, we can dig it, and walk off. Yeah, it's the two pimps. That's weird enough. They come after him, and then they start liberally throwing around the F word.
Yeah.
Because they
saying,
assume...
look at you in that cape. They actually say, dressed like that, of course you don't want the woman.
Right.
And I do love the idea that Blackie would be like, I'm not gay.
I totally go after that. Yeah. All the time. I work overtime.
The ladies. You should have seen the last movie with me and Luva.
It is my duty to serve that booty.
Ooh, that is the worst moment in that Shaft.
Is it? Or is it the best?
Oh, no. It was so bad, Samuel L. Jackson really had to almost at gunpoint be. That was a studio note. They wanted that in because they thought it'd be a trailer line, which I do remember it being in the trailer.
It was in the trailer.
And both Singleton and Jackson were like, are you fucking kidding me? We are not making a comedy. We are not. This is ridiculous.
But it was his duty.
The line is actually ability to please that booty.
To please that booty.
Yeah.
Well, to serve that booty
and
is
it
more...
is the only line in the movie remotely like that. The rest of the movie is a fairly grounded crime film.
I know, I saw it.
I really like that one, actually. I like the Singleton Shaft. It's a solid detective movie.
Solid.
Anyway, and so, yeah, then they're going, well, how about... the other great William Marshall delivery is when they go, how about you give us some of the bread you got on you? And he's like, I do not have any bread at the moment, gentlemen.
Oh yeah, this is great.
Yeah. And then he's just like, look at what you've done, enslaving your own people.
Yeah.
Keeping the slavery trade alive. And then they're just like, well, what was it? We're gonna. Oh no. So I'm sorry. Yeah. Then they say you're either gonna give us the bread you have on you, or we're gonna kick your ass. And he's like, I don't have any bread on me. And in terms of kicking my ass, I would highly suggest you do otherwise.
Yeah, the quote is actually on the IMDb
Okay, good.
page.
Yeah, what it is, because
The pimp says, "Your bread, man, all of it.
Yeah.
Or we're gonna have to become antisocial and kick your ass."
I
and
do
he
like
says,
we're gonna have to become antisocial. I do like that line.
And he goes, "I'm sorry, I don't have any bread on me. And as for kicking my ass, I strongly suggest you give it careful consideration before trying."
God,
So great.
That is awesome.
It's awesome.
You want Dracula to say something like that.
Yeah, that's what I want all day.
Yeah.
And
it's Blacula, and it's great, man. It's so great. And this guy just reels back and tries to punch him in the gut, and it's like is this a vampire thing that is like hitting steel, basically? Because it's a total Superman moment.
Yeah, I'll go with that. I mean, they don't.
I don't think I've ever actually seen this in a vampire thing before.
Not
though,
really.
Where somebody like hits him and is like, nothing happened. Oh, my hand.
Let's not forget that, Dracula can be easily just pushed off of balconies like we saw in all the Hammer films.
Well, I will say that Dracula, Christopher Lee Dracula, had a lot of balance
A lot of
issues.
whoa. Yeah.
it is the most you ever see Dracula go, uh-oh.
I have an inner ear problem.
Hang on.
It throws off my balance.
Hold on. I need to lie down. Just give me a second. Then I'll totally come and kill you. Oh, boy. Here we go. Vertigo!
Yeah, it suddenly becomes Liza Minnelli on Arrested Development.
My vertigo.
Lucille, too.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh, my vertigo. I love people who call out the ailment they have when they're experiencing it.
Yes,
oh, no,
yes.
my vertigo. That explains what's happening to me.
God, it's my rickets. It's my rickets.
He goes to punch him. Blacula, rather, tosses this guy into the window of this shop.
Just throws him into the window.
Then the other guy pulls a knife, which I'm like, oh, good call, man. And this guy gets thrown against a wall, and you see his head hit and the blood smear. And you're like, that guy's dead.
Yeah, he slides down the door and he's leaving a smear of blood. That's all I want.
And then Blacula goes over and it's like, well, you asked for this. And then he drinks some of this guy's blood because he's like, well, might as well get a snack. That took a lot out of me.
He shows up in the vampire group.
Yeah. I think
apparently they know how to find him because I don't think he waited for them to turn. In fact, we know he didn't. That means that somehow when he becomes yeah, he's like, I'm getting out of this funeral home. Where is Blacula? Oh, there he is.
This guy, there's like a beacon they're drawn to him. Oh, he's over there.
My vampire senses are tingling.
Yeah, so I just wrote he ends them. One tries to stand it. He ends them. And so then we have this is where we meet the lieutenant character because they've called him to the party where the Gloria has been killed. And he is just like they call him Sheriff Dunlop here, but yet they always refer to him as Lieutenant in the movie. So I think that's interesting.
Do they?
Yeah, they always call him Lieutenant. I just think that's strange. But anyway, he's going like, "Hey man, this is pretty wild stuff here." And somebody's talking about voodoo. He goes, there's your problem right there, voodoo. Okay.
Yeah. What's weird is he
solves this instantly.
He worked with a buddy.
Yeah. His
buddy quit, but they're still friends.
Yeah.
His buddy's girlfriend is a voodoo priestess.
Yeah. Isn't this his buddy's house, too? Isn't this Justin's
house?
Yeah. Because this is where he's showing off his collections.
Right. Yeah. So if I were going to hang out with you and your girlfriend is a Scientologist.
Yeah. Which
I probably wouldn't go... Okay.
True. No.
I wouldn't go around mocking the works of L. Ron Hubbard around her.
This guy Xenu bullshit. Am I right?
Jesus Christ! Terrible pulp writer turns into terrible cult leader, and But yeah, so
but I like you guys because if there's one thing we all know about you voodoo people, you love your snakes. And I did go, I guess that's not the one thing I think people know about voodoo, though. The dolls
in
comes
my
to
mind, it's always about killing chickens.
or
Not
that
so
kind of
much
thing.
the
But it's just like
snakes.
they loves the snakes, man. I just
And
saw the
they
new.
drink blood.
I just saw that new James Bond picture, Live and Let Die. There were plenty of snakes in that. I guess there are plenty of snakes in that thing, but
there are.
yeah, there's the guy.
Well,
who
they
falls
do.
into
They
the coffin.
dance with snakes.
Yeah,
as part of
there's the
some
guy
of
who
the
falls
rituals.
into the coffin of snakes. In that.
Right.
But
Jeffrey Holder, man.
mm-hmm.
Baron Samedi.
I love Baron Samedi. They do have
The only touch of the supernatural in the entire James Bond series.
There's a huge debate about what him being on the front of that train at the end actually means. Is he really?
I believe
alive
it means magic is real.
Because James Bond definitely shoots him in the head. But they with a gigantic revolver, which I love.
Oh no, we're talking about James Bond in our podcast again.
Look, I am always like half a second away from talking about James Bond.
I know.
But so
you've got a license to thrill.
Yeah, he goes, and you folk you love blood with the voodoo, and get this, the gal had no blood in her, and she had bite marks on her neck. Probably a snake. I don't need to look into it. So once again, voodoo kills innocent gal.
Is
Case
his
closed?
It's his solution. It's all done.
And I do like the guy's like, well, I mean, look, I may not currently be a detective, but I think that's some pretty shoddy investigation.
I like the way he actually said, bingo bongo dunzo, and walks out of the party.
Dusts his hands and starts out of the party. But then on his way out, he's like, what's this phone call for me? Another murder? Ah, jeez. And then, for reasons that are not fully explained, he brings Justin, the ex-cop, with him to this
This is really weird.
And this is before he's asked him to jump on the investigation.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, Justin, for old time's sake, you want to roll down to a murder scene with me?
Well, the bare minimum you could go is like, well, it's literally right down the street, and it has similarities to the murder that happened in the house. Maybe.
Because he goes, look at these fellas here. Bite marks,
Same
no blood,
thing.
That's pretty wild. I think this is the scene where he's like, this is pretty crazy stuff. Any way I could get you back on the force for this?
He's like, I need you.
Yeah, come on.
He says it more with a romantic longing, which I found very stunning.
I need you, Justin. Look
I told you I'm with Lisa now.
Look in my eyes, Justin. I need you. I'm just a cop.
I can love you better than her.
Look,
Okay, this is getting weird.
I'm just a cop standing in front of his former partner, asking you to solve a murder with me.
Oh, that's too good. This is where I quit the podcast because it won't get better than that. That is one of the best jokes.
Because what you don't expect on a Blacula episode is a fucking Notting Hill reference.
You don't expect it.
And that's the kind of podcast we do here, though. That's what we deliver. That should be our tagline. Campbell and Joe's Meet the Monsters. You'll never guess what they reference this week. So we just cut to, it's just basically an interstitial shot of Blacula coming home after a long night of vampiring, and he gets in his coffin, which I love the coffin, not on the ground, but upright and sort of at an angle. It's good for my back.
My lumbago's been acting up again.
The doctor says to fix my heartburn, I need to sleep at an angle. I know this because I have a wedge pillow that I sleep on to fix my heartburn.
Do you really?
I do, yeah. It's a little ramp pillow. It's fine.
I wish I could do that, except for I move around too much, so any of these specially shaped pillows only make the problem worse.
Damn, it's caused more trouble now. I mean,
I toss, I turn. I toss and I turn.
I just imagine, like in a movie, you're like, no, I can't. The thing about the case.
That's it.
Put the knife down! Johnny!
I will say, I've been watching episodes of Luther late at night before I go to sleep.
Yeah, that'll do it.
I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ.
God
all
damn,
right, man.
I do love Luther, though.
He loves you.
Yeah, I know he does. We've talked. He and I are I'm very close with the fictional character of John Luther.
Yeah,
Alice.
so
That's the end of my
where are
Luther
we?
impression, by the way. Is just Alice. Alice.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
I did notice that he does a lot of the hand to the brow. The hand to the brow, he does a lot. That's his thinking gesture. And I'm like, okay, Idris. I don't know if that's a choice or it's just a go-to, but he does it all the time.
I think he does it a lot in Suicide Squad too, though it's more like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe it's just his thing.
Yeah.
God bless.
He's always exaggerated.
Idris Elba needs to continue being Idris Elba all day long.
I don't think there's any risk of that being. By the way, Idris Elba for a Blacula remake?
Oh,
I could see it working.
Such a powerful actor. Wonder if he'd be interested. That might be something I don't know, he does goofy things.
He does. He likes goofy stuff too.
All right, maybe so. All right, we'll call him. We'll call him after this.
Yeah, we'll get old Idris on the line here. So
just don't call him old Idris.
Hey, old Idris.
I'm not that old, man.
So we just get this interstitial of him going to sleep in his coffin, and it does imply something that we've always complained about, which is then there's a transition out the window of it turning to daylight, and it seems like Blacula got back in plenty of time before the sun came up.
Yeah, I'm very happy because
it's just like it's always the last minute, like, oh God, it's sunrise, I gotta get home.
I am buying all of these vampires watches because I worry about them.
I do worry about Blacula. He is my the most endearing of them to me.
What time is it? Oh damn.
Yeah. I have to go. And look, it's either too late or there's blood at this party. Either way, I gotta get out of here.
Or there's blood at this party. Is anyone here scratching a bug bite?
Oh God, I just have to go. No,
that does it for me.
Oh, there was a scene we didn't talk about actually, or it was very brief when he's leaving that party, and Justin's like, "I'd love for you to look at some other African artifacts I have," and he's like, "Oh yes, sure thing. I can come back tomorrow." He goes, "How does the afternoon work?" He's like, "Ooh, evening would be better. I'm sort of a night guy."
Like a vampire?
I mean, like a vampire, yes, but specifically not a vampire. So anyway, we get that transition scene, and now Justin is just right back on the case because he's meeting his girlfriend, but also questioning her. Because he's like, you got to tell me more about this voodoo. And, come to think of it, has there been any trouble in your voodoo cult recently? And she's like,
just Willis hates me.
Well, I like it first. She goes, no, I can't think of anything. Oh, wait, yes, there was a huge contentious challenge for power, actually. You don't think that would be motive for any crime?
Probably not.
Yeah.
Moving on.
So now we cut to the scene of Willis's girlfriend coming to see him.
Yep.
And he's like, oh, you seem like you're pretty tense, baby. How about you lay down for a massage?
Mm-hmm.
And
she go, oh, you know how to do it. You know how to do that right. He's giving her a massage.
There's a little too much of this, and I did start to get uncomfortable at a certain point when I'm like, I am now just watching an erotic massage. Like, it's just at a certain point, it's like, is this still a vampire movie? I
didn't have that problem. I don't know what you're talking about.
If anything, you have specifically in your notes that scene needed to be much longer.
I was like, I put, was this cut? Question mark.
So
seems brief.
Yeah. Man, it's the one real editing problem I have in the movie. No, but he does like, cause she's like, oh, that feels so good. He goes, I know, I can feel the blood shooting through you. And I was like, all right.
I can feel it humming through your body.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if anyone ever said that to me in any context, I'm like, you're a fucking vampire, aren't you? Because no one would talk like that. That's a weird thing to say.
I don't get where you're coming from. This all seemed like this is what you do with a sexy lady.
Humming through you is better.
You talk about the blood humming through her body.
Yeah. All that sexy blood inside you.
You got like the hottest hemoglobin I've ever seen.
And And so then
I bet you could donate all night long.
He starts getting rougher and rougher with the massage, and she's like, "You better stop that." And she turns back and sees that he has vampire fangs. She's like, "Now, where did you get those stupid fangs?"
I loved this.
Yeah, which I'm just
because
Willis has a bad enough sense of humor that she believes he would just pop in vampire fangs for a goof.
But it's like
Willis.
Again, it's not what you expect from a vampire movie.
I
did
enjoy
enjoy
this moment too, because it is
her
also
laughing and just going, "What the fuck kind of stupid prank?"
It's her boyfriend. Like, it would be a thing. We just be like, "Oh, will you knock it off, you goof?"
It's just like PJ Souls in Halloween.
Yeah. Well,
it's like, Bob.
Yeah.
Just bring me that beer.
It is like that, but I don't want to say anything is just as good as the masterpiece, or just as like anything in the masterpiece that is Halloween.
You're absolutely correct, and I'm sorry I brought it up.
As much as I enjoy this, that is in another stratosphere to the like.
Halloween is my favorite of all those slasher movies of all time.
It's unquestionably the best.
There we go.
Yeah, they're all running for second next to that one. And none of them are getting close.
Nope.
Because it's another one, like we were kind of talking about Jaws earlier, I think off mic, but like it's almost like, what is there left to do after you've done Halloween? All you can do is do sort of weird takes on Halloween, and there have been creative ones. I certainly enjoy Nightmare on Elm Street because of how wild it gets from the traditional.
It goes comic.
Yeah,
it's super powered slasher.
That's kind of why I have, as a franchise, always leaned most towards Nightmare on Elm Street, just because it is the most comic booky of the bunch.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
Yes, agreed.
As a whole, I think overall those are the most enjoyable
as a series.
Yeah, as a series, absolutely.
Yeah, Halloween.
It's pretty downhill for Halloween after that first one. 2 is okay.
I just hate that it's minutes later. I just want that first movie
I hate that Laurie Strode's in a coma for the vast majority of the movie.
Yep.
You know, like, you're just like, I'm
being
sorry.
saved by a male nurse who still
I'm
gets
like, where is the main character from the first movie? Okay.
Yeah.
Anyway, definitely looking forward to Halloween Kills, though. That looks awesome.
Yes, sir.
So he then, of course, bites her. Meanwhile, Lisa has been, because I like earlier in the scene with Justin, he's like, well, what are you doing later tonight? And she's like, oh, I got to sit with Gloria's body in the funeral home. Like, okay, yeah, that's a thing to do.
That is a voodoo thing. Come on, man.
Is it a
Get
voodoo
with
thing?
it.
I don't know if that's a voodoo thing. Maybe it is.
It's just like she sat with the Mama Loa. You have to be there to escort or protect their
but she already
soul.
died. I took it that the voodoo leader had just died.
It's a symbolic thing, man.
Whatever. It's a bunch of horse shit.
She had to sit with her friend's body.
Also, it's just
she also had to do it
here to see
when
her
it
rise
sits up
as a vampire. She suddenly sits up and she's like, Gloria? And this is the only moment where they do kind of do a creepy thing with somebody in vampire form. And she's like, yes, it's me, your friend Gloria. Come closer.
Was good.
Come closer. And
this was like Lucy in Dracula,
it really is.
Or like the little boy in Salem's Lot. Mm-hmm. Come play with me.
Yeah. Ooh,
yeah, let me in. Let me in. Scratching at the window.
We'll get to Salem's Lot in not too many episodes.
I can't wait.
First,
it's
we have about 8 adaptations of Frankenstein to watch.
Well, yeah, that's right.
I will say, coming up, we do have a run of like 4 weeks of Frankenstein movies.
Coming up, we got it. Sorry.
You won't believe how many Frankenstein movies there are.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't get a break from him for a little while. But anyway,
no, ma'am.
Here, so sits up and she's like, yeah, come on over here. Get closer. No, a little closer. You gotta be, you remember how I like sitting real close to people. And Pam Grier, I think, is a little not concerned enough.
I agree.
And she's like, okay, yeah, I'll get closer. I'd be like, once again, I'm like, vampire, you're a fucking vampire.
Vampire, right there, vampire.
I've watched enough of these movies. I'm ready for this shit to break out in real life. And so then she goes to bite her, and this is where, my God, this entrance, the doors just slam open, and Blacula's there with, like, wind and smoke around him, and he's like, do not touch her!
Yeah.
And you're just like, damn, cool entrance number 4 for Blacula in this movie. And he's not done yet. I swear every time he enters the movie, it's like, wow, Blacula's here.
Hey, everybody, Blacula's here.
It does seem just like, what? Blacula? You want people to turn around stunned and be like, my God, it's Blacula. Yes, it is.
Or Mama Waldy.
And so then we just have real confused Pam Grier going like, what? My dead friend is alive? You're here and seem to know something about it? He's like, yes, this will all make sense. I'm a vampire. And it's almost like him going like, look, you're a voodoo priestess, all right? None of this shit makes any sense. So vampires shouldn't be a huge leap, lady. And yeah, so she's like, and it takes her a while to be like, yeah, okay, yeah, vampires, I guess then. But she's still a little scared, but he's like, look, you don't have anything to fear from me. I like you. And in fact, I could use your voodoo powers.
Yeah, it's slightly refreshing to not have to go through a long origin thing, and they do at least give her some realistic dialogue where she goes, okay, I know what you are now, and I'm just gonna run with it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, vampire. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's keep talking. See what happens.
Yeah. Not totally free.
So then it cuts to him at the top of his stairs, having gathered all of his vampires. Almost just like, yes, it's a staff meeting, everyone. Get in here. Gather close. Can everyone hear me? Can you hear me in the back? Okay, perfect.
I love it.
Yeah. First off, you're all doing great work. Just wonderful stuff.
Except for you, John, but we've had that talk.
Yeah. You've learned your lesson, I think, and we're willing to give you another shot. But he's like, let's see here. What's on the agenda? Yes. Oh, yes, Lisa. Don't any of you motherfuckers touch her. You understand me? Because he does talk about like, is this here where I wrote down the line? No, it's not here. But he's just like, there will be serious consequences for anyone who does harm to her.
It's great.
And then I love this immediate cut too, because everybody there is just kind of like, sure, yeah. And then it just cuts to Willis being like, who the fuck does this guy think he is to tell me what I'm gonna do? Yeah, I'm gonna get Lisa double now because of this. And he's talking to his girlfriend, and she's getting him all whipped up. That's like, that's right, you don't answer to no Blacula. And he's like, I'm gonna get so much revenge on Lisa, you won't even believe it.
Dude, she is totally Lady Macbething him.
Yeah. And then Blacula,
like, you could be more powerful than that guy.
And then, of course, right in the middle of this, we see Blacula just walk in behind him and is just listening to him. And it's
he's like, oh, is that so?
Yeah. Blacula, I didn't see you there. No, I wasn't gonna do it. And I like, once again, this is the classic, like, your girlfriend going like, my boyfriend's gonna kick your ass. Yeah, and him going like, I don't think so. I wasn't planning to do that. And it's like, no, you tell him that he's nothing, and you're gonna beat him up. And he's like, I have nothing but respect for you, Blacula.
You are my master, and you're great. I'm a big fan.
This might be my favorite scene in the movie, is her just going like, oh, that's right. Yeah, no, Blacula's gonna, you don't answer to no Blacula. You tell him.
He does answer to Blacula.
Yes, because he's like, yes, sir, no, sir. I have no. I will absolutely leave Lisa alone. Of course, no. I heard you loud and clear a second ago. I was just kidding around.
That's what they call me. They call me old joking Willis. I will gulp.
So, great scene. So yeah, Willis immediately, and he goes, then this is the line I wrote down because I love it. Blacula says, "Be thankful I've chosen not to rip out your worthless heart."
So good.
Yeah. William Marshall sells it, man, because you're like, ooh, he so would have.
It's exactly what you're talking about, Willis. It's exactly what I want a Dracula saying. It's like, this is the stuff. It's a shame that it's not in a Dracula movie, but William Marshall, he has the right stuff to be this dude.
He's not officially Dracula, but he's kind of one of my favorite Draculas. Like, he
Mm-hmm.
really sells it more so than, I mean, and as we try out, it's never Lee's fault. Lee is locked in with the right
Yep.
tone and presence. It's just a lot of those scripts. And there, in every one of those movies, there's at least a couple moments where you're like, oh, damn, that's Dracula right there.
Yes, you'll get it. You'll see the glimpses of what could be.
Yeah, and you're just like, well, we never, still don't understand why they didn't just let Lee off the leash and let him go full Dracula in one of those movies.
Because they hate us.
Yeah, because I think they do. I think they hate us. So meanwhile, Justin is at the crime lab, and they go, yeah, the thing we found outside of the murder scene was bat pellets. And Justin's like, bat pellets?
It's like,
I better
yeah, it's left over from their fur. Okay.
I better go to the library and find the dark arts section. That's his next move.
Dude, can I just... It's a thing that I can't stand. We get it in every single one of these.
Yeah.
And it's the scene of we have to go read a book about vampires.
Yeah.
We talked about it with the Night Stalker too. And we don't need that anymore.
Ex-girlfriend's just like, here's this book about vampires. Hope it
All
helps.
the information that they find is stuff that you could have gotten from any movie. They talk about Count Dracula. They laugh about, yeah, drinks blood.
Eh?
Don't go out in the daylight. Jesus
Hates
Christ.
crosses. Interesting.
Don't show up in mirrors.
Yeah. Once again, like I said, I've seen enough of these movies. I am ready. Vampires show up. I'm like, all right, we're getting wooden stakes. We're getting some crosses and holy water. This is going to be over and done with in about 5 minutes, everybody.
5 minutes, everybody. 5
I have
minutes.
said, should monsters show up the way they do exactly in movies, all us nerds would take them out in like an hour.
Yeah.
We'd be like, here's
Lend
what
me
you're going to
Adam.
do. Silver bullets for the werewolf, cross and stakes for the vampire, you know. See that zombie,
Adam.
shoot him in the head, you know, like.
Yep.
It's just done and done, folks.
And again, the geek saves the day.
Actually, we'll get to it next season. Kind of is what happens in The Lost Boys.
Yeah,
That
true.
the Frog Brothers, because they read the comic books, they know what to do. It's just a matter of convincing people that there are vampires. But they are fucking ready to go, man.
Yeah.
Bless Feldman. Bless Corey Feldman, man.
They don't have time to waste
Yeah.
with sexy saxmen.
No, they don't. I'm actually trying to get another straight-to-video Lost Boys sequel off the ground if anybody wants to help.
Oh, God. How does he have the rights to do those?
I don't think he does anymore because he hasn't made them. And last I heard they were trying to get a Lost Boys TV show off the ground.
He has to add an extra G to Frog Brothers.
Yeah, it's the
And it's
Frog Brothers. And also totally available to play Tommy Jarvis again in a Friday the 13th.
I'm ready. I will shave my head.
Also, I hear Seth Rogen's working on a new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I could be the voice of Donatello again.
That's right, he was. The cartoon voice.
He was the...
No, the movie.
The
movie
live-action movie voice is Corey Feldman as Donatello.
That's right.
And it's weird because, like, there are no other celebrities that do the voices of those turtles in that way, but for some reason it's Feldman because I like money. And it's clearly Feldman when you know it, too.
Yeah. But, I mean, don't you like money, John? Are you being judgy? Don't be judgy.
Well, at this
He
point...
likes money.
At this point, Corey Feldman is just looking for, like, a catered lunch, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, they feed me on this production? Great.
Oh, Corey.
I didn't like either one of them, really.
Other
than
they
the Lost
served their
Boys.
purpose.
I love the Lost Boys, and I mean, I think Feldman was a little bit better, actually.
They both had their thing.
Yeah,
they were.
But Feldman had, Stand By Me and stuff like that, and the Goonies,
true.
and that kind of stuff. I think he just had some better projects.
He was in some actual classics.
Yeah. Then he ended up turning into Michael Jackson, which was weird.
Yep. And having drug problems and hanging out with porn stars and all kinds of stuff. It's what
can't
happens in
believe
LA.
He's the one that's still alive of the two of them, by the way.
Kinda true. Yeah.
So anyway, He's reading up on the dark arts, and then he goes to the sheriff, and he's like, "All right, this is clearly the work of a vampire." And he's like, "This is actually a scene I love too." He's like, "A vampire, a vampire," and then the sheriff gets up, opens the door, he goes, "Hey Lou,
Yeah.
guess what Justin said? He figured out the vampire, figured out who killed these people." It's like, "Oh yeah," and it's like, "Yeah, a vampire," and the guy's laughing.
They're having the best time with it.
Oh shit! You really think it's a vampire, huh?
Well, I can see retirement's working out for you. You've obviously lost your mind.
But then they go, "Hey, look at these crime scene photos," and they're like, "Well, what's the? There's no the bodies aren't in these photos."
Oh God, John. Oh God, the photos.
And him going, there must have been something wrong with the film.
It's we have to be clear. It's two people in paramedics uniforms doing mime of like they're holding a body.
Yep.
Only there's no body there, and I laughed a good long while.
And Justin's like, "That's the thing. Vampires don't show up in photographs." And that's all the sheriff needs. He's like, "All right, yeah, it's fucking vampires. Okay."
He's like, "Oh, I can't explain it. All right, okay, maybe it's vampires.
Yeah,
all right,
I guess it is.
Hey, Lou!
Yeah.
Turns out it's really vampires."
No, stop laughing. Look at the photo, all right? Then you'll believe it too.
Why does he laugh? Doesn't he know it hurts?
I love him going, there was just something wrong with the film.
What's wrong with the film?
That would be
where
weird.
Everything is visible except for one thing.
Yeah.
That happens.
And this, by the way, is the and I guess the same director is the exact same evidence it takes in The Return of Count Yorga. And they're like, "Oh true. God, it is vampires then. All it takes is a photograph without somebody in it." And it's like, boom, there's no other explanation for this.
You know what? You sold me.
So meanwhile, Justin then has Blacula over to his apartment and is like, "Yeah."
Don't make it sound sexy.
Yes, he's just like, "Yes, I've been reading up about the dark arts and creatures and stuff like that." And Blacula
this is another of the expected scenes where the Van Helsing guy
have to have this scene. It's apparently an obligation in these movies.
Yes. The Van Helsing type, or whoever has figured it out, has to confront the vampire and say, "I'm on to you, buddy.
Yeah.
I know you're a vampire, but I'm going to be coy about it."
And Blacula's playing it cool. He's like, "Oh, really? Read anything interesting in those books?" It's like, "Yes, I've been reading about vampires." "Oh, fascinating stuff, those vampires." I do like this scene when he's talking about, like, "I think this killer I'm trying to track down is a vampire." And Black is being like, "Well, I hope for your sake it isn't, because a human going up against a vampire, well, that wouldn't end well for you." I do really like that beat from it, which is like, I would say you wouldn't stand a chance.
Well, the scene is dumb. At the same time, they both play it well. The cat and mousey thing, which I do like. It is such a trope.
I love the idea of these scenes, but they're often the execution of them don't work.
Yes, but this works okay. They're both good about the implied.
They're good actors who are selling this, but it's it's always like too much, right? It's always like, yes, wink, wink, vampires, you say.
I'm not saying they're real, but if they are, you'd better watch your ass, mister.
That's an exact. It's Batman in the Tim Burton movies. It's Alfred always being like, "No, I believe the other door, sir."
Oh, because I'm Batman? Oh, shit. Yeah, Alfred, I did it again.
I remember Kevin Smith talking about that. It is always
You'll have to kill Vicky Vale.
Everyone at the party should clearly know he's Batman, because Alfred is going like, "Don't you mean to take your other car tonight?"
Oh, the Batmobile? Oh, shit, I did it again.
I believe I should be laying out that other suit for you.
It's okay, because
black
we know
one with the cape.
We know that Bruce Wayne has plenty of forget-me-now.
Yeah.
And
silly. Oh my god, one of my favorite deliveries ever on Arrested Development is when he's just stroking Jason Bateman's hair and going, "Silly, forgetful Michael." It's so fucking. Oh my god, Will Arnett's the best. But also, yeah,
Forget
Michael
me
Goff
now.
Alfred is always just like, yes, there's a phone call you need to take. Like,
No,
you're Batman.
Alfred, I can't. Are you drunk?
Yeah.
I can't talk
I
to you
mean,
when
this
you're
is
like
the
this.
guy who just lets Vicky Vale into the Batcave.
Yeah, but he's doing it for the betterment of his charge.
He is, and I do love in Batman Returns when it's just like, well, here I am talking to the guy who just lets Vicky Vale into the Batcave. I'm doing it there. And Keaton just being like, I'm working at the computer, and all of a sudden I look up and go, oh, hi, Vicky. Like, I do love Bruce Wayne giving Alfred shit for that. Like, oh, yeah, well, I'm sorry. Who let Vicky Vale into the Batcave? That's right. You're going to be hearing about this forever, man.
Excellent callback.
Yeah.
Oh, not forever, because apparently he dies.
Well, I mean, I assume
And
Alfred.
then we get Batgirl.
He doesn't die in Batman and Robin. He's dying, but then they save him at the end.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Thanks to.
I thought he died.
No, thanks to Mr. Freeze having this is a hole, but because Mr. Freeze's wife, Alfred is dying of the same disease that Mr. Freeze's wife is, but she had it in a much more advanced state, and in his research, he had cured it in early stages. So Batman is able to convince Victor Freeze to give him the cure. And
this is where I should
Alfred.
make it clear to our listeners, and again, I know they don't care, but for such a nerd as myself, comic nerd, I refuse to watch some films, and Batman and Robin is one of the ones that I refuse to watch.
I have seen it multiple times. And always been like, right there is a cool shot of Batman.
Yeah. You know, if I isolate that's kind of how I am with that Shadow movie. I'm like, God, if I just put a still right there.
Well, you and I are not on the same page about that because I love that movie.
Okay, all right, we're done.
Anyway,
this was fun. This was good. We'll talk. We'll talk soon.
Blacula goes to Lisa and he's like, "Look, you can use your voodoo powers to help me. Exorcise the demon that lies within me." And when this happens, I'm like, oh, I love where this movie's going. I love
Me
that
too.
idea. I'm way on board for this. I thought he was just trying to do her. No.
And he's like, no,
I need your powers to save me. And I'm once again going, oh, man, I love Blacula because this goes back to what I wish the first movie had more of, which is this is a curse put upon me, you know?
Yes.
They
do a little bit in this movie.
I mean, a little bit. He's like one of my all-time favorite vampires, Angel.
Sure.
Where it's like,
they're
this
also
is torture for
kind
me.
of doing a Jekyll and Hyde thing where the vampire curse is his dark side, and he fights it.
His dark passenger for those Dexter fans.
His dark passenger. That's right. I really like Blacula's kill room.
Can't wait for more Dexter. I'm so excited.
I'm cautiously excited. I fear
the original
it could be
showrunner is back. And he's gonna get it right this time.
Okay.
Because he didn't do like the second half of the series. So.
Okay.
So
you mean when he and his sister have a incestuous relationship?
Well, she's not really his sister.
I know, but it's still creepy. I always wanted her on the outside of all that stuff, and they decided that character had to get on the inside of all that stuff.
It was forbidden.
Oh, Jesus.
God, it was hot, man. Come on, that was hot stuff.
Well, I know that the actors were actually involved, so...
Right. Yeah, they're married in real life, so that tension was coming through no matter what. Let's write towards it. I always felt they wanted to do each other in those scenes.
You are creeping me out right now, and all of our listeners.
Yeah, little do you know, I was a Dexter and Deborah Morgan shipper. No, I wasn't.
Oh, no.
I was not.
I had a whole Yahoo message board.
I was actually very much to him and Yvonne Strahovski being involved in that show, but
I'm not on board for that only because she belongs to me.
I thought that was going to turn into a real Chuck fandom for a second there. She belongs to Chuck Bartowski, sir.
I loved her in Chuck.
I did too. I was a huge fan of Chuck. I
really liked Chuck. Man, we've gone off the rails here.
Yeah. What is this here? Lisa has... Oh, yeah. It just cuts to Lisa with a Blacula voodoo doll, which, by the way, that's a prop I'd like to have, that Blacula voodoo doll.
That would be cool. I will say, it for a second there, I mean, because I'm following along going, all right, so she's going to help him. But then it made sense when he told Willis and his followers, he's like, You guys take care of whatever shows up, but I just need a room. When Lisa shows up, you don't touch her, and I'm gonna need a comfortable room. Lock us in, and don't open that fucking door, because he just knew it's like this spell is going to be a thing that can't be interrupted, and I don't want any of you jive ass kid vampires bugging me while the spell's happening.
Exactly.
And he does say jive ass kid vampires.
The police show up, a couple of cops show up, Blacula takes them out, and then it's time to start the voodoo ceremony.
Yep.
I do like Justin proving to the police that there are vampires because they go to the funeral home where Gloria's not in her coffin. Yeah. And I do like the sheriff being like, it's an empty coffin. I don't understand how that's definitive proof. I
love the bit where they're on their way out and he's like, hey man, you lost a customer.
Yeah. Hey, dumbass funeral director, you lost a customer.
He's like, this is the best joke I'll ever tell.
So then we see all the vampires rise up out of their coffins, and a full police squadron move up on Willis's mansion here or whatever.
I of course love a squad of police officers versus an army of vampires scene. In fact, sign me up. But I was really confused by, I mean, we haven't seen every victim, I'm sure, and I'm sure some of the kid vampires have created victims. But when you have, like, where are the people in the monk robes coming from? They're vampires in monk robes.
Was that a cutscene? Yeah, I don't know. Is that but Justin, before they roll in, Justin goes, "All right, each one of you, I'm issuing one of these," and he gives each of them like a piece of fencing.
Everyone has seen Night Stalker at this point.
Yeah, this felt very much like that. But I do like an army of cops with wooden stakes going into this den of vampires.
Yeah.
And it is on. And you talk about an improvement. This is very similar to the ending of the first Blacula, but way better.
Much better.
And because it is on, man. It's just cops v vampires at this point.
Yeah. And some are winning, some are losing.
Yeah.
And it's great.
Justin has a great move here where he stakes it, because these are long, like, once again, like fence posts.
Yeah.
He stakes this vampire, and then another one's coming at him, and instead of pulling the stake out, he just breaks off half of it and sticks that in the other vampire.
Yeah, he pulls it, breaks it in half, and then uses the other half, the new vampire. That was Buffy worthy.
It was awesome, man. I was applauding in my apartment when I saw that.
Yeah.
Like, oh, yeah. We lose a cop when he gets trapped between vampires, because he goes, he tries to go out a door. There are vampires. He turns back. There are more vampires coming down the steps. He's like, oh no! Ah! Classic.
Torn between two vampires, feeling like a fool.
Then there's another cop walking around with his stake, and this vampire just floats up next to him. And gets him. That's good stuff. Then we get a complete moron of a vampire he's holding a vampire back with a stake, like, get back, or I'll stake you. And then while this is going on, another vampire just comes up behind him and bites him. I'm like, you fucking moron, just stake him.
That was a moron of a cop, not a moron of a vampire.
I'm sorry, yes, moron of a cop, because he just, it should have been stake, turn around, stake the next guy.
By the way, do we ever know what city this is supposed to be? Because it feels like L.A.
Well, I think it is L.A. I don't know if it's supposed to be L.A., though. It doesn't really matter, it seems like.
Yeah, well, at one point, they actually do just say the city. And I was like, come on, guys.
I do like the cut to the sheriff just mid already driving a stake into a vampire. Like, yeah, that's right. That's what you get, you vampire bastards.
Hey, Lou, I staked a vampire.
Yeah.
He's constantly calling out to Lou.
Hey, Lou. Oh, they got Lou. Oh, no.
Shit.
Meanwhile, Justin is just digging through stuff, and he's like, oh, what luck. A crossbow.
This is, that bugged me. It's the fact that...
Well, he finds a crossbow, then the sheriff finds a battle axe. Apparently, this home is just filled with vampire-killing weapons.
Yeah, I'd say that is not the best interior decorating, Blacula. You might have thought about that a little bit.
Damn, he somehow got that crossbow I missed. Damn it! Curses. That almost turned into Vincent Price for a second there. Curses.
Curses.
Yes, curses. Yes,
curses.
Blacula, I'll get you. I'll get you soon, Blacula.
You wait.
That was the abandoned third movie, Blacula versus Vincent Price. Yes, it's me, horror icon Vincent Price.
And that would be great, playing himself. It would have been like an early Fright Night.
Join me. Join me at the cinema for a tale of the macabre. As I take on the darkest of the vampire princes.
Oh, hey.
Oh, well, it's both in skin tone and in power. It's going to be a spooky good time.
I just want to apologize to our listeners who've had to hear John's blatant racism.
Vincent Price's
Oh,
I become these characters.
Your multiple personality disorder is just getting worse and worse.
Come to think of it, I never cared for Polynesians either.
Oh, dear God. Don't get me started on Algerians.
Oh, what? No. Vincent Price caught on a hot mic. I'll tell you, those Eskimos know what they did to me.
That's right. I said Eskimos and not Inuits.
Yeah. I know what's right, and I say the other on purpose.
Just that, you frosty bastards.
Yes. The box office returns for Dr. Phibes were terrible in Alaska.
Jesus Christ.
Oh, racist Vincent Price. Add him to our collection of characters for the show.
Not a great one. not a great one.
Hey, he was no one's favorite.
No, he was no
one's. So he's got a crossbow now. This is kind of a dumb scene where Willis and his vampire girlfriend are at the bottom of the stairs.
Yeah.
And they're just kind of standing there as Justin proceeds to shoot Willis first in the arm, then gets him in the heart.
They just stand there. That's the thing, is like, all right, he shoots him first and misses the heart. So Willis is feeling pretty good. But again, for some reason here, like I said, if you're a vampire, you stagger forward like a zombie.
There's an arrow in my arm.
And he's like, oh, no problem. So I'm going to keep walking up the stairs, which just allows...
And they get him
a reload, and then...
But then the girlfriend starts up the stairs, and all of a sudden he can't bear to shoot. He can't take her. It's like, no, I can't. Damn.
I actually thought that maybe they had cut something like similar to the previous Blacula, like maybe that character's his sister. You know, there's some because really that's just his friend's girlfriend. Otherwise, and then it's like, is it just because it's a girl and he doesn't want to?
He took his friend out with no issue.
I know.
And then I don't know. And then luckily the sheriff comes and he's like, shoot her. Oh, fine, I'll get her, and he stakes her in the back.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Yeah, so none of it matters.
None of it matters.
No, so this gives time for Justin to burst in the middle of the ceremony, which had been working up to this point. And Blacula's like, no, you fool, you've ruined it all.
I liked this scene.
Did like this scene
only
too.
Because it's where you're feeling for Mama Waldy. You're feeling for him because it's like almost done.
I was almost free of this curse.
And yet, because of that, the snapback is like him just going, fine, fuck it, I shall be Blacula.
Oh my God, I can't.
He goes Dark Blacula. It's like Dark Phoenix, only it's Blacula.
I loved it so much when he's just like, I am Blacula.
Yeah, because the guy's like trying. Basically,
he's smacking the shit out of Justin. Lisa's like, please don't kill him.
Yeah, and she says, "Look, we can try again. We will try again."
And we can try again. He goes, right here, right now. And she's like, yes, absolutely, whatever. Please just don't kill him. All right, come with me. And he grabs her and he's taking her out of this door. There's a couple cops that come by. He backhands one across the room,
right,
and then the other one he picks up and lifts over his head and throws off the second floor of this staircase.
Totally Ferg knows that guy.
I loved it so much.
And she hasn't been audience to much of the vampire mayhem, so she is like, no, don't hurt anybody. Don't kill these people. She's like seeing him as truly evil for the first time. And she's like, damn, man.
Yeah, and so then the lieutenant comes at him with said battle axe now.
Yeah.
And he's swinging that thing at him. It doesn't work as Blacula takes it away and starts pounding on him. And Lisa's like, don't kill him. Please don't. Like, once again, she's just going, please stop killing these people. He still manages to take out a couple other uniformed cops through this scene, though.
I'm not saying there's anything coded in this movie, but I have to imagine that in some sectors of the audience, there was great satisfaction in seeing Blacula tackle these helmeted white cops, because I mean, this is the 70s.
They look like riot cops from this era.
Yes, and so it's just, I'm sure that there was some like, fuck yeah, because he does. He tosses them like ragdolls, dude.
Oh man, here's the thing too. Once again, in my Blacula remake, designed to have you cheer at scenes like this, of course.
Perfect.
I mean, like I said, I am on the side of the black vampires in my Blacula movie.
I love it.
Blacula wins at the end of my Blacula.
You know what? I'm backing it. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how much money I got.
The rights. Nope. MGM has those, which means Amazon has those.
Wow.
Yeah.
An Amazon production. Blacula.
Yeah, because Amazon bought MGM. Amazon.
It better be a period piece. I'm sorry. I mean, I know you can move it up.
No. Move it up, man. Make it expressly Black Lives Matter now.
Well, no, that's true. But the 1970s, or make it a sequel, and it's Blacula who did get through the 70s.
That is actually what they are actually doing with the new Blacula movie. It will be that these movies have happened, and we find him coming alive again now.
Like it.
Yeah. So let's see. Justin, meanwhile, wakes up from having been knocked out. Blacula also stupidly left him alive and with his crossbow. And so Justin confronts him with the crossbow, and this is where he's going, yeah, stand down, Mama Walde. And this is where he grabs the crossbow, and he's like, the name is Blacula. Which, like I said, I love it so much because it is a supervillain embracing his supervillain identity.
Yes, and I also love it because
Eric Lenscher at the end of X-Men First Class being like,
yeah.
Call me Magneto.
But this is also
I stood up and applauded in the theater, by the way, at the end of First Class.
I'm sure you did.
I was alone. There was nobody else that joined me, but I could not express how excited I was about that with the full helmet and costume and being like, Magneto.
I understand.
I was like, yes! All I've ever wanted in my life.
I know.
I just love Magneto. He's one of my favorite Marvel characters.
He is one of the best villains of all time. Though Doctor Doom is still the best. Oh
well, my recent
Marvel
piece over on Comic Book Curious might disagree with that ranking.
Well, you know what your piece can do. Anyway,
they are 1 and 2, I will say, though, on my list.
Starts with suck and ends with it.
Oh. That's it. That's the end of this show.
This is where the anger comes.
Yeah.
All right, we're so close.
So he goes to bite Justin, and then all of a sudden he's like, ugh! What? Because Lisa has grabbed one of the bolts from the crossbow and is stabbing it into the voodoo doll of Blacula.
That's what I loved.
Oh, man. Done in by the very magic he was using to save himself.
I thought she was going to, similar to Yorga, that she was going to go up in his back with that arrow.
I thought so too, because when we see her grab it, I thought, but
stabs it into the voodoo doll,
and then she's stabbing it again and again. And Marshall is playing each of the stabs like,
it's hitting him physically. And this is one of the weirdest endings we've ever had.
Yeah, because he's sort of mid-death throw, and it just freeze frames.
Well, it's also, she's essentially saying, die, and then she's basically saying, scream, Blacula, scream. She's not actually saying it, but that's what he's doing.
Scream,
we end on a freeze frame of him thrown back in a death thrall, and him screaming, and then they just
screaming
freeze frame.
Blacula. No,
and then we get some funky ass music.
Yeah, this song is at the end, and the lyrics are very much like, "'Cause you're cursed with death," dun, 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 dun. You felt the pain of life. Like it's
you don't have to sing it. You're going to loop it at the end of the podcast, right? You just loop it for our listeners.
What? I was just My last note is just, what the hell is this song? It's not a good song is the answer.
No. I'm sure you can buy the soundtrack. If there's one thing I'm sure of is most of these blaxploitation films of the 70s have soundtracks available.
Is this the song Torment? That's what's listed on here.
Possibly.
Let me look it up here, and I think I can play it. But Brendan, you can't hear it, unfortunately, because of the way this setup is hooked up.
Well, once again, you've ruined my life.
Torment.
I think Torment might be the opening theme.
Maybe it is. Believe it or not, there's a lot of songs with the word torment in them.
Why don't you just look up Scream Blacula Scream soundtrack?
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do here. And
we'll vamp. We'll just talk, or you'll edit this. It doesn't matter. We still haven't talked about the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer. That's what we'll be talking about.
The other thing let's talk about, though, is this freeze frame, and then once again going to the Xeroxed face of William Marshall.
I know. They keep doing this thing of like, that's a great image, so freeze it, and now we're turning it into a Xerox copy.
Mm-hmm. Here we go. Torment. They say it's opening and end theme, so.
Oh.
Let's hear it. Oh, that's some sexy sax right there.
I gotta take your word for it, because you were right. I can't hear it.
I could touch, no one touched
me.
How could I face even?
How can I touch when nobody's touching me? Oh dear God, this song is insane. It's pretty wild. It's all just like
One more night. How could I go?
Yeah.
I lived.
Oh my God, it's go look it up. It is the song Torment. The instrumental version of it is the opening titles, then the one with lyrics at the end. How could I live when no one's living for me?
Oh,
you know, it's that kind of thing. The blood that runs through your veins. Like
I will say
the
that
guy is just like, it's such a sleepy, like, oh yeah voice.
This and Blacula and Blackenstein are going to have the best. They're going to have the best soundtracks of all the movies that we do this season.
A monster, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's it. You're just pieces of me and pieces of him, pieces of that other guy.
Oh, yeah. Blackenstein.
Oh, that's not next, though, is it?
That is not next. No, we're still a little ways out from Blackenstein.
All right.
Next week, by the way, we say watch Scream Blacula Scream. We do recommend it.
Oh, yeah, I recommend it.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
You got to know what you're in for, but it's a lot of fun. Next week is a movie I had never heard of prior to doing this. So, and it is The Boy Who Cried Werewolf.
This one I have heard of, have never seen. So I'm looking forward to my first The Boy Who Cried Werewolf.
Boy Who Cried Werewolf. By the way, just recently remade, too. So at some point, we'll get back around to this movie. Yes.
Oh, my God.
I guess not that recently, because I think it's 2010 they remade it. But yes, Boy Who Cried Werewolf, they did it again. In fact,
I'm surprised they haven't remade Silver Bullet.
Yeah, I know, right? I have a real fondness.
Silver Bullet's not great,
but I have a real fondness for it.
But Cycle of the Werewolf that it's based on, I mean, you could do a better job of adapting.
Sure. Look, and King adaptations are hot stuff right now. So, yeah. I'm looking at you, Chapelwaite, that new Adrian Brody show.
Right. Yeah. That's about the founding of Jerusalem's
lot. That's the Salem Slot prequel. Yeah, I'm excited about that. So anyway, next week on the show, The Boy Who Cried Werewolf.
I bet no one pays attention to him because that's what usually happens.
Tells me. By the way,
when boys cry,
it was the Nickelodeon channel that remade it. So,
oh my God,
I can't imagine there's a lot of vicious vampire action or
no, but a lot of gack.
Yeah.
A lot of Dak.
With Brooke Shields, by the way, in Boy Who Cried, the remake. So,
Wow.
yeah. Anyway,
Okay.
we'll talk about the original one though next week on the show. But that is going to do it for this week's episode of Campbell and Jones Meet the Monsters. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Brendan Jones.
And remember, there are such things as monsters.
Call me Blacula. Actually, don't. I shouldn't.